On paper, these two color e-ink tablets might look like they serve the same purpose. But in reality, they couldn't be more different. One is a minimalist dream, while the other is a Swiss Army knife of productivity. Pick the wrong one and you'll either feel limited or overwhelmed. So let's talk about what you have to look out for and which one is the right choice for you. I'll start with a quick upfront summary to save you time if you're just looking for a quick answer, before diving into the details for anyone else. The reMarkable Paper Pro is the right choice if you're looking for a no-nonsense, easy-to-use, focused note-taking experience paired with the most paper-like color e-ink display yet. It has a fantastic premium build, the larger 11.8-inch screen offers more space for your notes, and while its colors are admittedly more muted than what you'd find on an iPad, they are currently the best you can get on any e-ink device. Thanks to low pen latency, a paper-like screen texture, and an intentionally distraction-free user interface, writing or sketching on the reMarkable Paper Pro is natural and seamless. It emphasizes simplicity, enabling you to open the folio and get right into your creative or productive flow without navigating complex menus or unnecessary features. The infinite scroll feature breaks away from the limits of traditional notebooks, and yet it remains incredibly intuitive to use. However, all of this minimalism does come at a cost. It's missing some advanced functionalities that you might expect when going digital. On the other hand, the Boox Note Air 4C excels if you handle extensive note collections, want more advanced organizational features, or prefer a generally versatile tablet-like experience. Unlike the reMarkable, the Note Air 4C allows you to link notebooks and pages, embed audio recordings, and even search handwritten notes. Its PDF capabilities are also far more robust and flexible. With its low pen latency, taking notes and annotating PDFs is also a great experience. But its versatility doesn't stop there. Its 10.3-inch screen makes it more portable, and with Android 13 plus Google Play support, you can install apps just like a regular tablet. However, the trade-off is a color e-ink display that's less vibrant, also relying more heavily on its adjustable Frontlight for readability because of the darker screen's background. Yet, if you're okay with turning up the built-in LEDs, the Note Air 4C actually surpasses the reMarkable in terms of brightness and overall flexibility for daily use. And that's really the main takeaway here. If you're looking for a replacement for your paper notebooks, don't really need a lot of special features, and prefer to have a more streamlined, distraction-free, more paper-like and colorful experience that invites you to just open the folio and start writing or sketching, then the reMarkable Paper Pro is the clear winner. But if you're after a feature-rich e-ink tablet that handles more advanced note management, multitasking, app support, and a much wider range of digital tasks, the Boox Note Air 4C delivers unmatched flexibility. However, remember, with that great power comes great responsibility. No, that's something else. With great power comes increased complexity and a steeper learning curve compared to the reMarkable. In short, choose the reMarkable Paper Pro if you value simplicity and a focused note-taking experience above everything else. Or pick the Boox Note Air 4C if you want your e-ink tablet to be a versatile companion capable of much more than just taking notes. If this saved you time, a quick like helps more than you think. And for deep dives like next part, subscribing keeps the reviews coming. Now that we've covered the big picture, let's dive deeper into the most important aspects of both tablets, their color e-ink displays, where the differences run much deeper than you'd imagine. Both displays use e-ink technology, but their approach to color is completely different. The reMarkable uses colored particles for a vibrant paper-like look, while the Boox relies on a passive color filter layer, offering flexibility but less saturation. In my full review, which I'll link in the description below, I called the reMarkable Paper Pro's 11.8-inch display a game changer for the e-ink market. And even though that's a completely overused term in the tech world, I still stand by that assessment, because for the first time we get actual colored e-ink particles in a widely available end consumer product. So instead of the usual black and white e-ink particles, the reMarkable tablet uses cyan, magenta, yellow and white particles and can generate up to 20,000 colors by mixing them. This technology is called e-ink Gallery 3, and I'll come right back what this means in daily use in a moment. First, let's also quickly talk about how the Boox Note Air 4C generates colors, because it's a completely different approach. Instead of colored particles, the Boox's 10.3-inch display relies on the typical black and white setup, but there's a neat trick to generate colors. It uses a passive color filter on top of the black and white screen. That filter has tiny red, green and blue subpixels, and these colored dots are all over the display. By selectively darkening the e-ink screen underneath those translucent dots, the Boox Note Air 4C generates colors. This technology is called e-ink Kaleido 3. Side by side, you can immediately see a couple of differences. The Boox Note Air 4C's display appears darker due to its color filter layer, but turning up the Frontlight fixes that instantly, even making it look brighter than reMarkable. And truth be told, I wouldn't recommend using the Note Air 4C without turning up the Frontlight at least a little, which I'll also do for the rest of the review, because that's the most likely use case in my opinion. No need to max it out all of the time, but around 30 to 40 nits is a good compromise to improve readability significantly and maintain the paper-like feel. The RGB subpixels on the Boox tablet also result in a slightly grainier screen. Not a huge deal in my opinion, but still good to know. The reMarkable is more paper-like as a result. So that sounds like an easy win for the Paper Pro, right? Well, not exactly. reMarkable's approach has its own compromises. The Paper Pro's display has a slight flickering effect when rendering colors. It first draws a stroke in a fast but less accurate color mix, then refines it with a quick trace and finalizes the render with a flicker. If you mostly take black and white notes, this won't be an issue, but using colors often could make this noticeable. Personally, I don't mind it, but I get why some might. When looking at color content, you can tell that the reMarkable Paper Pro has the upper hand. The Boox tablet only comes close with certain color tones and turning up the Frontlight all the way. You'll find the biggest differences with shades of yellow, which is essentially a night and day difference. To make these observations quantifiable, I also measured the displays with a spectrophotometer. There are a couple of ways to do this, and I chose a measurement that puts the perceived brightness and color components in relation. By combining the color components and comparing them to the brightness level, we can determine a color's vividness. Sounds more complicated than it actually is, but in the end we get values that we can not only compare, but that also align with how the screens are perceived. The reMarkable Paper Pro's color vividness is 23, 27 and 43% for red, green and blue, and 24, 33 and 41% for cyan, magenta and yellow, while the Boox Note Air 4C manages vividness levels of 17, 23 and 25% for red, green and blue, and 18, 14 and 13% for cyan, magenta and yellow. So in short, these measurements confirm what we see with the naked eye. The colors on the reMarkable Paper Pro are generally more vivid, but don't be too quick to judge, because that doesn't mean that the Note Air 4C is a bad pick when it comes to its colors, because the Frontlight is a very big advantage compared to reMarkable Paper Pro. Even though the Paper Pro has a Frontlight, with just 4 nits maximum brightness, it's extremely limited compared to the 69 nits on the Note Air 4C. Turning up the Frontlight on the Boox tablet helps to improve readability and color vividness throughout the day, while the reMarkable's Frontlight is basically only useful in very dim environments. So under similar conditions, the reMarkable has more vivid colors, but when turning up the Frontlight on the Note Air 4C, at least for certain colors, that advantage can shift to the Boox tablet in lower ambient lighting conditions where extra brightness enhances color perception. And besides that, you can also adjust the color temperature on the Note Air 4C, which is not possible with the reMarkable Paper Pro. Text crispness is also better on the Boox tablet, which has a resolution of 300 ppi for black and white contents and 150 ppi for colored content. The reMarkable manages 229 ppi for each type of content. So the reMarkable Paper Pro has a more paper-like and colorful display, while the Boox Note Air 4C screen offers much better flexibility and less flickering. But the screen is only part of the experience. How these tablets feel in the hand is just as important, and here the differences continue. The Boox Note Air 4C uses an asymmetrical design with even bezels on 3 sides and a wider grip on 1 side. What makes it unique is just how well designed the rounded edges are. Sounds like a little thing, but holding an aluminum unibody tablet in your hand just feels very comfortable. The only issue I have with the design is the USB-C port on the side of the device. It's just inconveniently positioned because charging the tablet with the folio on means you have to open it first. Just a small detail, but it honestly annoys me every time I have to do it. The reMarkable Paper Pro also uses aluminum, but takes a more traditional symmetrical approach. Because of that, and also because it's a bit larger and heavier, holding it in the hand is not exactly as comfortable compared to the Boox tablet. Don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but it's not designed for that perfect grip. Boox's ergonomic design to me is better suited for on-the-go use, whereas reMarkable's larger size and design feels better for desk-based productivity. That's also emphasized by the Paper Pro's rubber feet on the back that keep it stable on the desk without sliding around. To me, it generally feels like the reMarkable Paper Pro was designed with more attention to detail. Not just because of the feet, but the folio is also incredibly well designed, resulting in a much better feeling than the one on the Boox Note Air 4C. See that flap that secures the pen during transport? It sits flush in that groove on the back, so it's not in the way when opening it. Again, it's just a small thing, but it just shows an incredible eye for detail on reMarkable's part. Another key difference is the display texture and the writing feel. The Note Air 4C uses a pre-applied screen protector to provide friction for a more paper-like writing feel. And it does feel great to write on, but I wouldn't say it's a pencil on paper-like feel. More like a felt tip pen on paper if you ask me. The reMarkable Paper Pro on the other hand uses a textured glass with its own custom-made stylus, which does feel more like using a pencil on paper. However, lifting the pen and putting it down on the screen results in a more noticeable tapping sound and feel. It's closer to an Apple Pencil on an iPad feel than the Boox Note Air 4C. The only thing that I have an issue with on the reMarkable are the somewhat wobbly lines. That seems to be worse on some devices than on others, with mine looks to be one of the worst offenders. With just under 20 milliseconds pen latency, both tablets are incredibly quick to react to pen input, so both feel great to write on. But writing comfort is only half the story. How the software enables or restricts your workflow is equally important. And yet again, the two devices take a completely different approach. The Boox Note Air 4C is an absolute powerhouse of an e-ink tablet with Android 13 as the operating system, including Google Play support for easy download and use of Android apps. Even though Android was not designed to run on e-ink, Boox managed to optimize the system extremely well for the screen technology. There is undeniably a bit of a learning curve to it because of all the customizations and different e-ink viewing modes available to make the inherently slow technology suitable for different applications, which results in a not so typical Android experience. But if you're willing to put the time in, it's also not too complicated. The reMarkable Paper Pro, on the other hand, uses a custom Linux build that focuses on just taking notes. That's the main purpose of the tablet, and it shows. It's super easy to navigate and just tries to remove distractions wherever possible. Just recently, the company even further simplified and decluttered the note-taking user interface, even though it was one of the cleanest in the e-ink space to begin with already. But that of course comes at the cost of flexibility and options. The Paper Pro is a streamlined note-taking and sketching tablet, simply not the jack of all trades the Note Air 4C aims to be. And that's also true for the note-taking experience itself. I know I'm repeating myself, but reMarkable is taking the minimalist approach with taking notes as well. The UI is clean, and even using it for the very first time, it's pretty much impossible to get lost here. You can use high-quality templates, layers, and multiple pen types that are implemented in the absolutely best way possible with pressure and tilt sensitivity. To organize your notes, you can use tags and folders. Handwriting conversion is available as well, and I especially love the infinite scroll feature to write past the screen's dimensions, to just finish something and have all neat and tidy on one page, with the ability to zoom in and out to add even more information or get a better overview. Colors also add a lot of value to the note-taking experience, especially because they are more vibrant than on the competitor. And reMarkable recently brought the same intuitiveness to the new Shapes feature, which lets you create perfect geometric forms instead of hand-drawn ones. Switching to the Boox Note Air 4C paints a completely different picture. The Notes app is packed with features, offering pretty much everything you can wish for when creating, maintaining, and organizing notes. Almost everything the reMarkable Paper Pro offers, and much more. You can add your own templates if you're not happy with the pre-installed selection, add multiple pen shortcuts for quick and easy access, link notes, pages, and external sources, insert images, create shapes, record audio while writing, add a table of contents, and convert your handwriting to text, to name the most important features. And last but not least, you can also search for something in your handwritten notes, which is a lifesaver if you're looking for something but can't remember where it was exactly. So Boox offers a lot of features, but not all of them are as easy, seamless, or intuitive to use as what you'd find on the more refined Paper Pro. So there's that learning curve I already mentioned. Ultimately, the Boox Note Air 4C is the better note-taking device for large amounts of information, but the reMarkable Paper Pro offers a more frictionless experience that's easier to get into. When it comes to features outside of taking notes, the Boox Note Air 4C essentially wipes the floor with the reMarkable Paper Pro. Besides Android flexibility, which is a huge deal in by itself, the Note Air offers a lot more features out of the box. PDF handling is much more versatile, with different view modes available to get a perfect reading and annotation experience. You can of course annotate PDFs on the reMarkable Paper Pro as well, but it's much more limited when it comes to its features. Just going by color vividness, the Paper Pro also would be a great tablet for comics, but finding them as PDFs is not an easy task. The Note Air 4C on the other hand allows you to go straight to the source and install the Marvel Unlimited or Comixology apps without a need to go hunting. Boox also has generally good ebook reading features, including text-to-speech, lets you browse the internet, has a useful split screen mode, and with the fastest e-ink mode, even lets you watch videos reasonably well if you really needed to. There's honestly too much to list in this comparison. The reMarkable Paper Pro simply isn't focusing on anything outside of note-taking. Sure, you can read ebooks as well, but that's a very rudimentary experience, and that's about it when it comes to extra functionality. However, one thing the reMarkable still has over the Boox Note Air 4C is its optional keyboard cover. It's hands down the best construction I've seen in any device when it comes to hiding the keyboard and keeping the cover slim while still offering plenty of utility. It's such a great design that it pains me to say that the software implementation of taking typed notes is a bit lacking in comparison. Both companies have a solid track record of software updates over the years, but because reMarkable is more focused on far less devices than Boox, I have more confidence in them to continue providing more frequent updates for a much longer time, especially for the flagship device like the Paper Pro. When it comes to battery life, both devices are pretty similar when taking notes. Around 7 hours of continuous note-taking on the reMarkable Paper Pro and about 8 hours with the Frontlight turned on the Note Air 4C. Reading PDFs or ebooks, the Boox tablet generally manages much longer runtimes of around 20 to 25 hours versus 12 to 14 hours on the reMarkable. Price differences aren't as big, with the Paper Pro starting at $579 and the Note Air 4C at $499. So I'd say price isn't the main factor when deciding which one to get. It really comes down to what you need. Streamlined note-taking or an all-in-one e-ink device. Choose the reMarkable if you want distraction-free writing that feels more like real paper, or pick the Boox if you need more power, flexibility, and features. If you're still uncertain, check out my dedicated reviews of both devices, and please like and subscribe if this comparison was helpful. Thanks for your time watching, and I'll see you in the next one.